But my hat's off to any Filipina. If they have a family, they're taking care of their kids. That is one of the things I know that I've seen for myself that Filipinas do. Filipina women, they will take care of their family when no one else will. And so I'm spending a lot of time on that because I want people to know that, Filipinos are, absolutely gorgeous, absolutely awesome. And so to see that I think that's why I hate to see the comments about Chelsea Manalo, because she does come from that biracial background. She does have that darker skin. She is representing a group of people that have been marginalized and may not get a lot of attention. But she has been very resilient, and I like that term, unapologetically. I can't even say it. Unapologetically herself. Most Filipinos that I have met have been just like her. What is up, pageant patrons? Welcome to Hi JR Sings, and thank you for watching today's video. I really do appreciate it. A couple of days ago, a couple of photos came across my social media feed, and it was of Chelsea Manalo, Miss Universe 2024. One of those pictures, she was standing on top of a horse. I don't know how they got her to do that, but it was an absolutely gorgeous picture nonetheless. And it is, I think, a sort of a play on words. For those that do not follow pageants, a dark horse is someone, maybe they weren't the most popular, no one really had thought that they would win, maybe not even had a chance, but they were just kind of in the background. They were in the competition, but the focus was not on them. And with Chelsea Manalo, that is certainly the case. Full disclosure, I did not have her in my top 10. But as the competition went on, she was in my top 10, and then she ended up being in my top 5. There's a couple of criticisms of her. And, when I saw the pictures, I went straight to the comments, and I was not surprised. And I will tell you why. And I kind of put them in three main categories. There are some criticisms that she has, and I just wanted to address some of those negative comments. One of those first criticisms is that she didn't deserve to win because her performance was weak. Typically, a dark horse, they're kind of in the background, and I would dare say we didn't get to see everything that maybe the judges saw. We certainly weren't privy to all of the behind the scenes antics that were going on. And so to say that her performance was weak, I think that's a little bit subjective. And again, I believe the judges saw something in her that said, you know what, we got to think about her. Now, there were some other queens, they had been in other pageants, and I hate the term recycled queen, but that was the term that was used. And again, I don't really like that term. It was queens that had been in previous pageants. They were also competing for the top spot, and it was very interesting because the media, the attention was certainly not on Chelsea Manalo. But for some reason, all of a sudden, she was in the top, 20 or whatever, and then she was in the top 10 and then in the top 5. So obviously she was doing something that the judges saw, and they deemed her worthy enough to be in the top 5. That second criticism is that Chelsea Manalo is not pretty enough. And as you know, I certainly do believe that that is rather subjective. She is being called the first Black Filipina beauty queen, and I think she's absolutely gorgeous. It's very subjective. Now, does she adhere to the typical Filipino beauty standard of the light skin and the long hair? Now, she does have the long hair, but the only thing that she doesn't have is possibly the light skin. She doesn't use any lightening, skin lightening products. And we all know that sort of in those Asian countries, they do like the lighter skin. That whole idea of white is right, that colonial mentality, not accepting your beauty, but adhering to someone else's beauty standard. And I have to say that Chelsea Manalo, if you look at her, if you have seen those photos of her, absolutely gorgeous. The stylist The makeup artists, I think they are doing a wonderful job with her. The night of the performance, I will say the same thing. They did her justice. They did not make her, it's not, her makeup was not over the top. It looked very natural. That's simply what I think. But again, I'm an American, and I kind of think outside of the box when it comes to that beauty. And I think that's beginning to happen in the Philippines. There's a lot of biracial people in the Philippines. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. She is representing a segment that is typically not seen as much from the Philippines. And I think that is always a wonderful thing when people who aren't seen as much have a representative now. They have someone to look up to. They can say, hey, there are some girls out there that are biracial, and maybe they have black parents. One of their parents is black. Now they have someone that they can actually look up to. Why are we calling this a bad thing? So when I read those comments and they say that, I think that is absolutely ridiculous. Everything is changing. The Philippines is changing as well. I got the opportunity to go to the Philippines this year, actually 2 months ago, and I haven't been to the Philippines in 10 years. So naturally, there was a lot that has changed. There were a couple of things I was expecting, and I just didn't see that. They didn't do those anymore, and got a chance to go to some different places. Everything changes. The beauty standards in the Philippines, those standards are changing. Now, the one thing I still saw was lots of whitening soaps. That whole colonial mentality, white is right, this is the beauty standard, the more European beauty standard. And I just simply believe that because Chelsea Manalo is absolutely gorgeous the way she is, it's very subjective. So when people say, oh, she doesn't adhere to that standard, you're right. Most of the time, that's a good thing when you have a standard that's set, but there's an additional standard. So just because she's not liked does not mean she's not right. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. So again, a very subjective kind of standard to put on her. Again, I've already said it. There's a lot of people out there that are biracial and that are darker skinned, and they're going to look up to her and they're going to say, wow, she did it. I can do it as well. The third criticism that I saw, and again, that's the three big categories that I saw. So the last one is she had a weak question and answer, Q&A. In previous contests, when I watch these contests, I love the Q&A. But what I've noticed about the Q&A is that most of the answers tend to be kind of fluffy. They don't, even if they do get to answer the heart of the question, it almost seems like the Q&A doesn't matter. As long as they're able to present themselves in a positive way and have a general statement that seems to be good. I still put a lot of stock in the question and answer because I think that if you're going to have someone that can speak well about your organization, I certainly do believe that the question and answer can do that. That can really set them apart. But it just seems like most of these contests now, even if they give a good answer, it's still all about how the contestant looks. And, I still believe Filipinos are absolutely gorgeous. It's a bunch of, so I don't really have a problem with that if that's the biggest standard. Their pasarela, the way that they walk, most of the time, that's a huge part of it. It is that presentation. And I think the Q&A, even though maybe I put a lot of emphasis on it, maybe it doesn't matter that much. You guys can kind of let me know in the comments if it matters or not. I do know it's the package, it's the whole presentation, how they look, how they walk, how they present themselves, how well spoken are they. And so it's going to be interesting to see how she fares in Mexico. That's when I'm kind of waiting to see. Like I said, it's going to be interesting, and I think she will do well. So I kind of want to end the whole negative criticism of her. I kind of want to end it like this, and most of you know I like my notes, so I just kind of wrote this out because I want to make sure that you understand how I really feel about this. And and it's not just for Chelsea Manalo. It is for any contestant that we seem to try to tear down. And I hope I'm wrong, but I don't want to think that Filipinos are, I'm black, so, and I see this in my culture, and I've seen it a little bit in Filipino culture. It is that crab mentality where you have somebody that is trying to just rise above and do something better, and then all of a sudden you have these negative people that are just really trying to pull them back down and don't want them to do well. I want everyone to do well. I wish all of the contestants well. But it just so happened that Chelsea Manalo won. Was she my number one? No, she wasn't my number one. She was in my top 5. But am I glad that the Philippines kind of went outside of the box and said, hey, we're going to crown our first black Filipina. It's wonderful to watch. It has been wonderful to watch the support that she has gotten. And so let me just sort of end it like this. I just want to say Chelsea has consistently shown grace under pressure. From her stunning evening gown performance to her eloquent answers during the Q&A segment, she has proven that she deserves her title. But for some, that's not enough. And for some, I just don't think it's going to matter what she does. They're not going to like her. And I'll even go back to last year with Michelle D. Some people still don't like Michelle D. I happen to have a high regard and high respect for Michelle D. Let's not forget that Chelsea is human, just like the rest of us. Behind the crown and the sash is a woman who has worked hard to get where she is. She's not perfect. None of us are. But that's not what makes her relatable. She represents the modern Filipina, strong, resilient, and unapologetically herself. And I'm going to tell you that the Filipinos I know, they are very resilient. That word resilient, after I left the Philippines, about a week later, the typhoon hit. And so I got to see some of the images, and then you got to see some of the people and how, and that's another reason why I didn't post, because I was concerned about them. And I didn't really think about posting. I wanted to make sure that my Filipino family over there, that they were doing well, but resilient, but unapologetically herself. That is one thing I absolutely love about the Philippines, being resilient. That the typhoon showed that, when you're living in a tropical climate like that, you usually have strong storms that come in. And so you've got to be able to recover from that. And if you grew up in the Philippines, then you understand that you don't have time to have a pity party. You've got to get up. You got to get to work the next day. And you have to do what you have to do to survive. And that's one of the things that I always remember about the Philippines, is that even though there's so much poverty, I see people that are working their asses off, and they are really just doing what they have to do. Those men are out there providing for their families, some of them barefoot, and they are just getting to work. They're doing what they have to do. And as a female, my hat's off to her, winning this competition, going through all of that, and still, and I did see some pictures of her, and, just during that time, and just doing what those things that she needs to do. But my hat's off to any Filipina. If they have a family, they're taking care of their kids. That is one of the things I know that I've seen for myself that Filipinas do. Filipina women, they will take care of their family when no one else will. And so I'm spending a lot of time on that, because I want people to know that, Filipinos are, absolutely gorgeous, absolutely awesome. And so to see that I think that's why I hate to see the comments about Chelsea Manalo, because she does come from that biracial background. She does have that darker skin. She is representing a group of people that have been marginalized and may not get a lot of attention. But she has been very resilient, and I like that term, unapologetically. I can't even say it. Unapologetically herself. Most Filipinos that I have met have been just like her. So I want to make sure that I give her the props that she is due. What's truly admirable is how Chelsea has handled the negativity. Instead of lashing out, she's remained composed and focused on her responsibilities as Miss Universe Philippines. That's a quality we should all aspire to. grace under fire. And she made this comment, and it was with one of the photos that I saw. And she says, labels may say dark horse, but my victory will be defined by my authenticity and determination. Victory is mine for the taking. So what that tells me is she is determined to win Miss Universe. She is doing what it takes to win Miss Universe. She is trying to make the Philippines proud that she is Miss Universe Philippines 2024. And I think I'm going to end it right there, because I don't think there's anything else I can say. To the naysayers, I wish you well. I've made my points. I disagree with what you're saying about her, but I tell you one thing, congratulations to the Miss Universe Philippines organization for going outside of that box, for giving Chelsea Manalo a chance, for sending her to Mexico. Let me know what you think. Whether you agree or disagree, it's still my opinion, and let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching today's video, and you guys take care. Peace.